Yeah, hi everyone. This is Clay from Crystal Lake Chronicles. And remember this scene from the original Friday the 13th where Annie jumps from the Jeep? Well, I have been looking for where was this filmed for a long time. And most of the people on the internet have given locations like it was Shannon Road, or it was Sand Pond Road, or it was Millbrook Road. If you ask AI, it even tells you it was the Moravian Cemetery. So there's been a lot of wrong answers out there. I recently took the overnight tour of Camp Crystal Lake, and one of the tour guides told me the most correct answer I have found, and I agree with what he said. It's the most logical place that this would have been filmed, and that is on the campground property on their driveway. And I've frozen in this one scene because this is what I'm going to try to match up. And anyone who's seen the film knows there's not very many landmarks for this scene, which has made it hard to pinpoint it. There's the big rock that she's almost hugging as she gets up from the ditch after she's jumped. There are a couple frames, and maybe I'll include it in this video. I didn't put it in here yet, but maybe I'll include it that show there was a white, looked like a painted band around one of the trees, and next to it was an orange or red painted band, which are typical trail marks, trail blazes. And I've seen some of those some very similar type markings during this tour that I was on at the camp. So it's logical that there could have been blazes like that at the time this was filmed on this road. They're probably not there still today, 45 years later. But here's what I was told by the camp counselor. Robbi Morgan, who played Annie, who jumped from the Jeep, remembers that it was on the driveway of the camp, but she didn't remember exactly where. They took her on a little tour of the driveway. They use golf carts a lot to get around the camp, and they went back and forth. And finally, Robbie said, "Look, it was on the driveway. It was on the camp road. Pick a spot. I don't. It was 40 years ago. I don't remember." But that's the best information we have. It hasn't been contradicted by anyone. I would think Tom Savini or Tazo, his assistant, uh, would also be people that could verify that, but I haven't heard, and I actually posted stuff on their social media asking this question, but I haven't received a response. But for my money, that is the best answer, and it's the most logical for this reason. If you were um, going to film a scene like this, and it's slightly dangerous, you're not going to do it on a public road. If you chose to do that on a public road, it increases the amount of danger. Cars coming by, you need to get the police involved then to block off the road. You know it's a dirt road because in those final seconds of the scene, you can tell there's a cloud of dust that's being kicked up by the Jeep as it whizzes along this road. So it was not a paved road, and Shannon, Millbrook Road, those were probably paved roads, even going back then. Sand Pond, probably paved roads. Um, so for those reasons, we know it was dirt. Uh, they had permission to do the film on camp property. Why would you go and do it somewhere else? If it was on Shannon Road, if it was on Millbrook Road or Sand Pond and not camp property, you now have to get permission of other landowners. So I agree. I think that this is the best answer. Now, as I was leaving the camp, I I actually took a little video as I was coming in on this because this is where I've suspected for a while it happened. I took a video driving in and I took a video driving out. And I'm going to show you a clip here in just a second of that video driving out. And then I'm going to pause it where it matches. Now, there's probably a dozen other places on the camp driveway that it matches pretty well too. But we'll stop at the one that looks good to me. I might change my mind as I have more time to analyze the footage I have of my drive in and out, but I think this is pretty good for reference. So anyway, here I'll play that little bit of video and then we'll stop it, and you'll see that I'm getting in my car. I'm driving my car away, and it was raining the whole time that we were on the tour. It was a little bit miserable, but basically, very early on as I'm exiting, it looks like it is a little bit of a hill, and we can tell from the scene with Robbie with Annie when she jumps out. It looks like they were coming down this hill, so this would be sort of, how the camera was looking up in where we froze the original movie scene a minute ago. We can match it up. And I'm going to do a side by side here in just a second too, so you can take a look at that. And side by side, it's keep in mind the trees would have grown that are still alive that were there at that time. They're going to be bigger. Some of the trees might have died and gone away, but um, I'll let you take a look at this and be the judge. I think it's a close match. Okay.